Good morning. Welcome back to ONV's A Financial Pillar. I'm Ryan Leopard. My co-host, as always, JJ Foster.
Good morning. How you doing?
Great, great. And then special day here. We got our man Sweet Tea back on the set. Terrence, how you been?
Doing pretty good, had some things that was going through, had to take a few steps back, had to definitely do some personal evaluations, but I'm glad to be back.
He
Awesome.
was out shopping. You see that new suit he got
Yeah, I
on?
was gonna say he put us to shame today, didn't he? Wow. Yeah. Then we have our special guest as well, Lake City Bank branch manager, Mia Outlaw. Mia, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Thank
And,
you.
and please, we do know her name is Outlaw. She does work at a bank, but she's legitimate, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, production manager's asking about that. Is that even legal? Like outlaw bank? Is that? Yeah.
I had to create a slogan. I just say that I'm the nicest outlaw you'll ever meet. So then it just works out.
That's awesome. Hopefully you said that in your interview. Is that how you got the job?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I have to use that next time.
I know I should.
So, well, welcome. So today we're going to kind of rely on Terrence and Mia's experience in the retail banking environment. We're going to kind of talk about relationships and customer service. So I say customer service as a branch manager. What does that mean to you, Mia?
I think customer service is important. I've been in banking for 9 years, so I've always just realized how important customer relationship is in building just that customer based relationship. That way they know where to come, who can help them. I think just having a face to a name. A lot of my customers, they know that as soon as they walk in, who they're looking for, whether that be me or one of my staff. And I think that just adds kind of value to your brand, to my branch.
Absolutely. Makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel like family when they're walking. Okay. Terrence, what about you?
I can definitely piggyback off of what Mia said, especially a big part of making our clients feel like they belong is when they do stop into our branch, make sure that we are greeting them by name. That definitely gives them a sense of belonging, like they made a great first impression and that we remember who they are, of course. I would say that that's one thing that definitely drives the customer service where I work at initially. Also, with that being said, just making sure that we're going above and beyond for our clients, not just being order takers or just telling them vague information to get them out of our face, but of course, just making sure that they do understand that the relationship that they do have with us is valued, of course.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I know one thing from a previous job I had, they always used to talk about when it came to customer service is extraordinary, or you break that down, extraordinary customer service, going over and beyond, making a lasting impression on somebody. I know I asked you both beforehand, do your employers, do they do customer surveys where when a customer does a transaction, they come back and get a survey that says, on a 1 in 10, rate us. When I first started getting into that type of stuff and being graded on that as a manager of a previous employer I was at, it's either a 9 or 10 or it's nothing, right? Anything a 7, 8, not good enough. You kind of figure out why is that? Why is, only a 9 or 10? It's because you're looking for that extraordinary customer service. 7, 8s, that's ordinary, right? That's not going to stand out something for somebody to remember, right? And I think it's very important customer relationship wise, especially within our line of business or any line of business where your competitor virtually has the same products, right? In banking, there's not a whole lot product wise that makes you stand out from your competitors. But the one thing that does is your customer service, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree. I think you can keep like you said, some of the products are the same across the board, but another bank might have a better rate for a CD or whatnot. And I've seen a lot of customers who stick around or will come back just simply off the way that you treated them, how you handled them, just making sure that what they need is a priority for you. And just, I think just being kind too just comes down to it. And they see that and they're ready to just continue to bank with you.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's a great point, especially with the CD. There's that when you have somebody, a bank, it's usually within the same range, maybe 0.25% or something like that, better than another bank. But when you have a customer that is loyal to you, that appreciates the relationship that you provide, that they're willing to it's not worth it to me to take my money over there and do that to get an extra 0.25% for the relationship that I have here and try and start over, right? Yep. Terrence, in your line of business, mortgage wise, what does customer relationship mean to you?
JJ.
Sorry, did I say Terrence again?
Yeah.
I'm just happy to have you back on the set.
Mortgage. Anything when you're talking about financial, whether it's mortgages, whether it's dealing with, personal loans or whatnot, it is all about that, how you handle people. Folks don't like coming into offices and to the branches and get talked down to or getting a lecture or made to feel like they're unintelligent or asking, questions that aren't smart or relevant. So customer service is the it. That's our foundation here on the show. We talk about relationships, establishing relationships with your financial institution. The one thing I'd like to ask, Mia and Terrence, because customer service, we hear it in fast food restaurants or we go out to eat, you hear about customer service. Is there a difference? Or, I've heard of stories where branch managers have been out eating at lunch and they've actually asked folks, hey, would you like to get into the banking industry? Can you speak to that?
Recruiting wise, kind of how you
Correct.
recruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
I think that is very true. And it wasn't something that I really kind of noticed or took heed on until I stepped into management. But I've been at Starbucks and just seeing the way they, like one guy, he was just multitasking and just making drinks and then also being friendly and just doing all the things. So you see those like key qualities. You're like, oh, you would be good in banking, because some people think they've never been in banking before, so they can't do it. But like I said, it's just some of those like key qualities. I remember when I first started in management and started to do like more interviews and learning the process of like a good interview and what to look for. I remember I was interviewing one candidate and she didn't have any banking industry, but she had been in a car accident and her learned how to walk again. And before the interview, she came and made sure she dyed her hair and went out of her way and found like new clothes. So even though she didn't have any banking industry, those key things she said key things that responded to her character. And I'm like, okay, she would be a good fit.
Yep, absolutely. And something you just said there stuck out to me because a colleague of mine, in our commercial banking world, we were having a conversation recently, and I was asking about like, your ability to hire somebody with lack of experience in what you do. And he's like, I can teach anybody how to do this job. What I can't teach somebody is the habits, the personality, the will, and the want. So to your point, right, you can teach them how to do banking, correct? Right? You can teach them about the banking world, but going out in your everyday life and understanding what extraordinary service looks like, and when you see somebody that's giving it to you, even in a different field, man, that's somebody that I would love to have. I can teach them the banking world, right?
That's exactly right. I equate it to, a doctor. You got somebody goes to med school, get straight A's, and then you put them in a hospital, and their bedside manner is terrible. They're not talking to the families with dignity or respect, or doesn't know how to handle people, but smarter than a whip. But to your point, I mean, you can have a business, finance, and be cum laude.
Degrees in the world,
but
right?
if you don't know how to get along with folks and establish those relationships and nurture them, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be real tough.
Yeah, absolutely. So JJ, in your field, one thing, because obviously Terrence, Mia, and yours, you're seeing customers over and over again, right? You probably have your consistent customers. You're talking to them on the phone on a regular basis. In your world, you're getting maybe touching somebody once every 5 years or so, right? You got a mortgage, you get it done. How do you keep that relationship and build those relationships to maintain the repeat customers?
Yeah, that's funny though. But you know what? I'm in a unique situation just because if you think I was 30 years in the human services field. And so to your point, whoever you talk to, when they said I could teach somebody the business or the banking side, that was me. They pulled me from the human services field into doing loan mortgages. So I not only just handle folks with my mortgages, people will call me and just trust me with any banking services. Just yesterday, Mia actually was over at our branch, and I'm getting a call, and she'll tell you, I'm texting back and forth with a guy who's comfortable enough to talk to me, who was getting a HELOC, and I'm the middle person giving her the information. So again, through these relationships, I have folks call me, ask me, hey, what is your rates on a car loan? How do I do X, Y, Z? So my relationships are ongoing here in this community.
So you've made yourself valuable to them outside of your day-to-day job.
Correct.
There
you go.
You become a point of contact to them, or what we like to call as a trusted advisor for them, right? Correct. You're somebody they can contact, say, hey, I got this issue. I know it's not what you do, but can you help me out or connect me with somebody?
Yeah.
Right? That's why we call you Mr.
And
Fort Wayne, right?
there you go. But it's funny because it could be the simplest of thing. And they'll call me, and I'll come, and I might, go up front and talk to one of the tellers. I might talk to, our branch manager. And it'll be the simplest of things, but to that person, oh my gosh, yeah, oh, hey, JJ, help me, and it's just that comfort blanket. That's all it is, simply a comfort blanket that they have somebody that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, gotcha. So another question I have for you, Mia, is how do you manage providing a extraordinary customer service experience for your customers, but not at the expense of your employees, right?
Yeah. I think,
Did that question make sense to you? Sometimes, and what I mean by that, where I'm going is, sometimes in my previous experiences is managers so focused on that customer experience that they forget about their employees,
Yeah.
right? And maybe they're going over and beyond and stepping on their employees' toes, or maybe, I don't want to say belittling, but maybe talking down to them in front of the client or something like that, to be able to present an extraordinary customer service in maybe a stressful situation for the customer. So how do you kind of manage that balance?
I think, to be honest, I think it's relatively easy because I've always, like I said, I've been in management for 2 years, but I've been around good managers. People have, and like taught me things, and I've seen things. So I just noticed that, granted, my customers are always important, but I've noticed if I pour into my staff and make sure they're comfortable, the work is going to, like, I want it to be a good atmosphere. I want when they come in, even if it's something going on outside of there, like they know they're coming to work in a good atmosphere, they're supported, I have their back, I'm going to help them. Because if I allow them to come into a place and it's toxic and it's not a good environment, the work is not going to come. They're not going to be, responsive to customers and all those said things. So I think for me, it's just starting with making a good atmosphere for my staff, making sure they understand that they are appreciated. I let them know a lot that I appreciate you, like I see your hard work, because as long as I am pouring into them, I know in return they'll have good relationships and good outcomes with customers.
Absolutely. That was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You start with a good culture for your people, and they're going to give a better experience to their customers. That's just going to kind of snowball down there. Right?
Yeah, I think it's just like the same as like setting the tone at home. Like kind of if you set the tone at home with your kids, like they know what's expected outward, and they know how to do the same thing. So I think that's kind of like the same with the work atmosphere. Like atmosphere, if I just set the tone with them, then we know everything else will come to follow.
Absolutely agreed.
I think piggybacking or to elaborate off Ryan's question, how do you handle something? We heard the adage, the customer is always right. Or say we got this customer that's been with us for 20 years, that the relationship has been established, and they have an interaction with the teller that may not be good. How do you handle that? Kind of saving the face where
a lot of customers are still under the impression we're always right, and that's not always the case, right?
Yeah.
So walk us through something like that.
Luckily, I haven't had that problem too much, so hopefully that continues to happen. But I think also just for me is just understanding both instances. So I always will, if my staff is having like a hard time with a customer or something is going on, always, and although they should know how to handle situations on their own, I always say, if you need me to step in, just let me know, because I'm here to like neutralize the situation as well. So I think just kind of for me, it's just kind of knowing when to step in to allow the staff to
do the job,
do the
handle themselves,
job,
feel empowered
exactly,
to do the
yeah.
job, but yet knowing when to maybe step in at the right time, or maybe putting yourself in proximity of them so they know that you're there.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
If they need you, they can just turn around and say, hey, because I know we used to do that at the branch all the times. If a branch manager heard a difficult conversation going on with the customer, they wouldn't maybe just chime in right away. They wanted to empower the person to take care of the situation, yet know that, hey, if they're struggling, turn around and say, hey, so-and-so, would you mind helping us over here real quick? And they're right there.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think oftentimes with customers, sometimes they just need to hear it twice or need to hear something explained
Absolutely.
differently. So there's
Especially in
something
our line of business,
yeah.
yes.
So there's something about like just hearing it twice or just explaining it that kind of helps them. Like, okay, I get it now. Like, I understand.
Why do you need my ID? Right? Why are my funds not available right away? Yeah.
And I think too, that's what I've also taught my staff is like sometimes we don't explain enough. And I think we'll just say, oh, why do you need my ID? Because it's policy. Oh, we're just using it to protect you because we don't want somebody to come in, like fraud is going rampant. We don't want somebody to come in using your ID. So this is for us to protect you. And I think just the way you word things and say things, the customer then appreciates that a little bit more.
Terrence, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
We sat here, we've heard you. I know you have impeccable customer relation skills. You said and you talked and about you going above and beyond helping out customers. Is that the environment, at your organization? Has that been taught? Or is that just something that's in you? Talk to you guys' environment.
So, with being in the banking industry, especially on the retail side, a lot of our success comes from the relationships that we have with our clients, of course. With that being said, I've been in customer service roles a lot of my life, even in management and just normal positions itself. I've learned it is so much easier to get your job completed when you treat your clients with kindness and respect. I can't stress this enough. It's just like to piggyback what off Mia said, when you do have those clients that come in, and that they want to know why you need their ID, instead of telling them it's just our policy, explain to them exactly why. You can tell anybody it's just policy. They don't know what the policy is. So when you tell them the benefit behind it as well too, I feel like that kind of lightens the mood as well too. So building that relationship and building that trust with the client is going to be the easiest way to get them to come back and see you again anytime there is a service or they need to apply for something or they need something help with their finances, even setting up a budget plan. Once you've built that trust with that client from being respectful and being kind, it's just easy strolling from that point on. So I will definitely say building that relationship with the client is extremely important, as well as ensuring that they understand everything that you're saying. Of course, like you said, some people need things explained differently, of course. So when it comes to going above and beyond, I purposely and personally feel like that is just what is asked of me as my job in my position. There's no reason for me to just be short and simple and get you out of my face. At that point, you probably have doubt. You probably don't want to come back and see me because I'm not going in depth. I'm not giving you a complete understanding of what I'm telling you or giving you or asking from you, of course. So yeah, definitely with that.
Gotcha. So, Mia, how do you manage customer relationship and service, especially I would say towards the younger generation today that is more technology involved, right? Where maybe I don't know about your bank, but some that I've worked for, they would like, and they kind of push towards customers using the technology, using the ATMs, using their phones, depositing checks on there, things like that, which to me, I think it's was counterproductive to what we do as a daily job of building relationships, right?
Yes.
It was kind of pushing people out of the branch, right? And the philosophy behind that was, well, the younger generations like to use the technology anyways. And I always thought, but when we are pushing them out of the branch to use that stuff, they're never going to understand or appreciate the power of having a relationship with a banker, right? So we always kind of clashed a little bit when we did that. How do you kind of manage your people with that? Like getting them to understand and try and build a relationship with younger people coming in the branch to help instill that?
I think it still helps build that customer relationship because we all know technology fails. Like, it seems like even with the younger generation using technology so much, they always have issues with bill pay or their debit card not working or things like that. So I think even then when they're having issues, that's often time to like to instill that customer relationship. Because I'll have customers say they're having issues and maybe they'll call me and I can't see their screen. Well, bring your phone in, bring your laptop in, and then I'll have them sit in my office and help them navigate it, fix whatever issue they're having. And they still know if they're having an issue online that they know a person like, okay, Mia is my branch manager. Let me give her a call and help her. So I think it still helps because at the end of the day, it's something that's going to fail on that end and they're still going to need you, and still knowing that they have somebody to call to help them fix the issue. They appreciate it. Especially I think even with our more elderly customer base, with them using online banking, I think they appreciate even then going about like taking that extra step and like I said, just bringing your laptop, I'll sit down and help you get this fixed, change a bill pay. And sometimes you just don't have that in banking where you have your banker who would just say, oh, just bring it in and we'll get it figured out. They'll just, try to walk you through it on your phone, which is even more frustrating sometimes to the customer.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was one of those ones that when I saw somebody walk through the door with a laptop computer, I was like, oh, I'm going to be busy and hopefully somebody else gets them. Not because they didn't want to help, but a lot of times like getting on their computer was difficult, right? But I would offer, come in, we'll get you online with our computer, right? Get you and help you out, set up the bill pays, do what we want, try and figure it out. But yeah, those phone conversations, trying to walk somebody through, trying to fix an online issue is difficult on the phone. I would always do that. Just invite them in. Let's sit down and talk about it. Let's figure it out together, right?
I was gonna say on just roughly, how many times does that occur? Because when as soon as you said that, I'm thinking to myself, man, we have a couple people, couple days, every day coming in, they got kicked out with their password, or like she said, doesn't know how to navigate.
And they're blaming the bank for it when they put their password in
You
incorrectly
get
different
some of
times.
those. You get others that like you
Nobody
said.
wants it to be their fault.
Yeah, but you get others that say, "Hey, I'm computer illiterate. I know I did something," and like she said, a teller or somebody walk through. But on average, how often does that happen?
I would say at the least on a good week, maybe like 5 times a week that I have maybe helped them. I'm pretty sure it's more on the teller line, but I think even I'll get texts, which sometimes I'm like, it's a blessing and a curse to be able to have easily use my phone as well. Then sometimes after you still have customers reaching on your phone, but I think that goes back into like the customer relationship, because I'll have one of my customers text me a couple weeks ago and they were like, hey, my debit card isn't working. And I was able to just like, okay, make a phone call and then shoot them a text. Okay, I got it figured out for you. So it happens pretty regularly, especially on the debit card, because people don't realize there's a lot of things in place right now to prevent fraud. So they're trying to use their debit card for a higher amount or for a charge that's on the back end doesn't look, maybe potential fraud. So it happens a lot now, I feel like, more than it used to, with customers calling about issues like that.
Gotcha. So we're kind of talking about relationships and the bank providing extraordinary and the bankers providing extraordinary experiences to the customers. But can you speak to our viewers out there about from their end of it? We were talking at the financial seminar about if you're having financial struggles, you get fees on your accounts, things like that. Don't hesitate to reach out. Reach out to your banker you have a relationship with, ask them about it, see what they can do. Maybe they can refund it. But with my experience, there's a couple different kinds. You get that call where they're combative and saying, you guys are taking my money, right? And then there's other ones that call and take accountability for it. I made a mistake. Can you help me out with this? Can you kind of speak to that and how you as a branch manager would approach each one of those situations?
I think for both situations is just trying to help the customer, as well as understanding, like, as a bank, we can't refund every fee. So I think, like, for my customers who are, even if they're understanding or not, like I said, I think it's just a way you word it, because I had a customer who had some charges and they had a few of them. And I was like, I can waive 2 of them, but the other 2 I can't. And he was kind of combative, like, why can't you? And then I just let him know, well, honestly, me waiving the 2 is me, giving an exception, because typically we can't waive them all. So I was like, me just doing the 2 is an exception. And he's like, okay. Then the way I worded and let him know, like, even though I couldn't waive them all and I was able to give you credit 2 back, he made it, just like I said, just the way I worded it, he kind of understood it more. So he easily turned from like combative to, okay, I understand it. I appreciate that you at least did something, even though you couldn't do exactly what I wanted. Yeah.
It's not about doing exactly what they want, but being able to help them out in the situation. Terrence, I'm sure that's something you run in on a daily basis, right?
Whew, yeah. Just yesterday there was an instance with a client that had made a double payment for one of their car loans, and it caused their account to go negative, of course, first thing in the morning, first call of the day actually. And she's absolutely combative, very aggressive. And, I had to take a second, so I let her, yell as much as she wanted. And then I calmly asked her, I was like, may I speak now? There is necessarily 3 options that we can potentially assist you with, of course, with that being said. So, of course, I could have been combative back. I could have copped an attitude with her, hung up on her, or anything like that. But at the end of the day, that's not going to strengthen the relationship. That's not going to make them have more trust with the relationship that they have with the bank currently. So I was actually able to like calmly explain to her. I got her to calm down a little bit, explained all the options that we had available for her. First, of course, I recommended, I'm like, you should probably reach out to the person that you made the payment to first, see if they're able to get it refunded on their end. I said, if not, I said, give us a call back. I said, then we'll gladly be able to assist you with that. That being said, she took my advice perfectly fine. She ended up calling back around 15 minutes later. We were able to actually get the other payment reversed on our end. And pretty much she kind of just disappeared after that. Like, when she realized that we're not here to fight you, we understand that a mistake was made, we're still here to help you. It doesn't matter. Everybody makes mistakes on a daily basis. The fact that you come to us about it, that's exactly what we need you to do. But also at the same time, there's no reason to be aggressive at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. That was the point I wanted to hear from that, was that, for our audience out there listening, I think we were talking at the seminar the other day about, is that it's about the relationship, right? We're all in our positions to help you. But if you approach us aggressively and you want something from us that we don't have to do, you're probably not going to get as far as if you called calmly, took some accountability for what you did, because ultimately it's your account, your money. We didn't take that out of there. We just charge you a fee because you're using our money because you didn't have enough. But in my experience, we were always empowered with, hey, we can do so many credits, per year or something like that. Over and beyond that, I, in my role there, had some flexibility. I'm sure you as a manager have some flexibility with that as well, but it's not something we have to do. You talk to me calmly, we have a conversation about it, you take some accountability. I have no problem going over and beyond for it, but we'd always educate them as well. It's like, this is not something I can continue doing. It doesn't appear that this is a habitual thing for you. I'm more than happy to help you out with it now. However, we may or may not be able to do this going forward in the future, right? But we've talked about what caused the situation, and hopefully that doesn't happen again, right? So you approach the bank, the banker, the managers respectfully, and they're there to help you out, right? We're all there for customers. We're in our customer service roles for a reason, right? We enjoy it, right?
There you go.
Yep, absolutely. So let's move away from customer service for customers. How do you manage your relationship with your employees, right? Creating a good culture within your branch.
I think, again, just empowering my staff to do, different things and learn more. Because I don't think I would have gotten to my position if I did not have people like, mentoring me and like me expressing the need to like learn and grow and want to go higher and it not be reciprocated. So I think I've just empowered them as well. Like, I'm not here to hold you guys back. I want you guys to learn. If there's something that you want to get trained in, if there's something that you want to know, like empowering them to know more and not micromanaging. Like, I let them know that, you guys are out here on the teller line the most. So I don't want you guys to feel like I'm hovering over you guys. I want you guys to feel like you have the power to make decisions. If you need me, I'm here as well. But to understand that they can do their jobs without me hovering over them. And I think too, just like teaching them versus making them just, I don't know, explain it, just like almost like just empowering them and teaching them. Yeah.
The other thing in Lake City, we have Lake City University. So
Do you?
he's talking about that growth and development. Anybody that works within Lake City, it's at your fingertips. You can go on there, you can find out, you can learn about any part of the financial industry that you want to. So, and that's what we do, promote within. So, to Maya's thinking is that people can, if you go in there and, hey, I'm comfortable being a teller right now, but my ultimate goal is to be a commercial banker. There's classes you can take,
Yeah, ultimately, that's one thing we're doing at where I'm at now is what they call stay interviews. They've introduced over the last couple of years where basically your direct report manager sits down with you and kind of talks with you, just, hey, have you ever thought about leaving? If so, why would you leave? Your happiness here. What can we do to help promote you, build you up, anything like that? And it really comes across genuine, as in they're caring about what I have to say, right? It's not a environment I'm walking into like, well, I can't, I'm scared to tell them something because I might not have a job when I walk out of here. But having a branch manager, because we all have bad days, right? Sometimes you might have a disgruntled employee and you don't know why. They're hesitant to come to you because they're not sure what they can say to you, right? But it would be more genuine. Like if you notice something going on, you may do this with your employees, you notice something's just a little bit off, like just come out, hey, how's things going? Just sat down and talk to them, right? How do you enjoy your job, right? Just having those even on a daily basis or when you just see something's going on goes a lot real far with building, credibility with them. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think too, finding that healthy push. Like I remember when I was in the Army, like I had sergeants who just like pushed me.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Yeah, I had sergeants who would just like push me and I'm like, oh, I'm not ready. Or, they see certain things in you like, okay, she's ready to go to this next step or she's ready to do this. And I think sometimes having that healthy push, like it might be uncomfortable for your staff, but seeing where their potential and helping them get there, even if they don't think they're ready yet.
Absolutely. Very good. Very good. JD, questions you have?
No questions. I just, a comment. You talked about me being in the mortgage department, and it's funny because in banking, you're exactly right. It's a whole lot of silos. You have your wealth advisory group over here, and they're in their industry. Then you have your mortgage department, they're in their industry, commercial, retail, and everybody just kind of in their lane. Um, at Lake City, we promote the collabs and the
Partnerships.
there you go. If somebody comes in on WAG and they're interested in getting the HELOC, or what works best for them, they want to purchase a house, they're gonna walk them over to our department, or they're gonna pick up the phone and they're gonna call and have that conversation. So that is very big, and that's, like I said, I'm all over. She'll tell you. I mean, WAG staff is over here. I'm hanging out with that group. I'm doing stuff with commercial, retail, and again, though, but it's promoted within the bank, and they actually, it's encouraging. We do things to kind of, reward people that are working together cross departments.
Absolutely. Yep. So basically, you're working on relationships with other people internally within the bank.
Correct.
Right?
There you go. Yeah.
So in every form of life, personal lives or business lives, everything like that, relationships are extremely important. Right. I do some volunteering for JA when I go into schools, and I talk to middle schoolers and things like that. There's one story I love to tell, which is the power of the relationship. And this is a true story for me. Pretty much every job I've ever had in my life has come from a relationship I had, up until the one I have now, which I just randomly, I applied for it. I had gotten a job because I knew somebody there. And how I even got started in the financial field, which was in mortgages, and then the same person brought me into the banking world, was somebody that I went to middle school with. And we weren't even really friends in middle school. To be honest with you, he'd probably tell you we didn't even like each other in middle school, right? But this is somebody that, once we went through high school and we didn't really interact much there, we just had mutual friends. At one point in my life, early 20s, I was working in a factory and realized that factory was not for me, right? I wasn't sure what I was going to do. A roommate of mine said, "Hey, so-and-so works for a mortgage company. I just ran into him at the bar. He was asking me if I knew anybody." I'm like, "Oh man, we don't get along. He's never going to," whatever. Fate had it. A week later, I ran into him, I think at the same bar, right? So he was spending a lot of time there. And I brought it up to him. He's like, "Yeah, come see me on Monday," right? So I did. I was not a salesperson at all. Never thought I could do that whatsoever. I did not know what a mortgage was. I started on day one and I said, "What do we do here?" Right? It's a mortgage company. I didn't know mortgage was home loans, right? But the power of that relationship from somebody that I just knew from middle school started me in my career that I'm in now, right? So what I always relate to those kids when I'm talking to them is like, be kind to whoever you're sitting next to, right? You don't have to be best friends with somebody in school, but treat them with respect, because you never know if that person is going to be the person that decides whether you get a job 10, 15, 20 years from now, right? It's all about relationships that
Man, that's funny. I just I saw some Samuel Jackson. He said, "Be careful of the toes that you step on, because they very well could belong to the ASSs of a person you might have to kiss later." So,
and even when I say the job that I'm in now, I didn't get it from somebody I knew. I had applied for it and got no response whatsoever. And I applied for a few jobs, but wasn't getting responses for jobs that I thought I was very much qualified for. So I had to get a little creative, and I went on LinkedIn and just found HR managers for the places I had applied for. The HR manager for where I'm at, I went to school with. She was three years ahead of us. We knew each other a little bit in middle school, didn't talk at all through high school. So it's not like we had a good relationship at all, but she knew who I was. I knew who she was. So I just reached out through LinkedIn, and she immediately replied, said, "I don't see a resume. Send it to me right away." Boom. I had an interview within like 2 days. Right. But it was from a relationship contact from somebody that I went to. But exactly. Watch who your toes you're stepping on, because you never know what difference they can make in your life going forward in the future. So I think time-wise, we're getting short on it, but I do want to take us out. We've talked on the show a little bit before about, Mia, what would you say to our listeners out there when they're shopping banks, right? There's so many different banks out there. We all offer very, kind of the same products, but what should they look for when they come to a bank, right? Experience-wise.
I think one is local. For me, just because you want to be able, if you're having an issue, you want to be able to go into the branch or know who you're talking to, and just be able to know that you're going to reach somebody versus having to continue to just get the runaround or call in a customer service. So I always think like regardless of brick and mortar, being able to walk into somewhere. But even when I'm teaching like financial wellness classes or doing things, I always say just as much as you need us, we need you. So just like an interview process, ask them what, their rates are, what their fees are. Even if you're not coming, you don't have to have a lot of money. Like even if you have $10 in your account, you should still be treated the same way as somebody who has, 10 million in their account. So I think I just always tell people to like, if you're going to banks and searching around, like interview them and ask them questions, just as like to make sure that you're picking somewhere good you want to bank at. And again, just knowing that there's somebody you can talk to and reach out, and that's going to be able to help you navigate different situations.
So someplace you feel comfortable when you walk in and talk to them, right?
Yeah.
Terrence, I know you spoke to this before on the show. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, with that being said, of course, as you said, there are a number of financial institutions that pretty much all offer similar products and services, of course. Definitely boils down to what you're looking for, of course. I know there are some local banks that are not across the United States. If you're somebody that likes to travel, find an institution that has branches all over the United States. If you're somebody that has an inclination for business banking, make sure you find a financial institution that offers great products that can help promote your business. There's a lot that goes into it, but I would say it all is determined based off your financial goals and where you would like to be over the course of years, of course. I know some banks specialize in special departments, and I know some others don't. So, of course, even having multiple financial institutions as a home is also an option for you as well, too. But it definitely boils down to your personal interest and what your financial goals are.
Yep, absolutely. We're in a relationship business, right?
Absolutely.
That goes both ways. So for the listeners out there as well, when your banker calls you, don't always think it's a bad thing. Pick up the phone, have a conversation with them. That relationship's important. So anything to add before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just say, hey, that relationship, you walk into a bank and you say you want to do a car loan, and rates on a car loan might be 8%, but your banker, they look, hey, you got a CD for $50,000. Why would you do a car loan when you can borrow against that CD? Those are the type of things that, a lot of people don't ever experience that because they just bank somewhere. They don't have that banking relationship. But, that's the type of relationship you want to have with somebody.
We're to help manage your relationship with your financial institution and navigate you through it, right? Through your best interest. So there's got to be trust there.
Yeah.
But,
and then before you get us out of here, I got to say, the financial literacy,
yes.
Mental state of mind. He's referenced that a couple of times. We had our first one last Saturday. Our next one will be September 21st. That's at the Urban League from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. We'll have another great discussion. The first one went over well. We fed people, not just physically, but we fed them mentally. A lot of good dialogue, and we expect it to be bigger and better this next time. So we definitely will hope to see you guys out.
Absolutely. We had some young ones in the room too. I always love to see that too. When you got a Saturday night and you got some teenagers out there taking in the information, that's always awesome to see. So hopefully it grows and we see more of them out there. So any listeners out there, you got kids, grandkids, anything like that, teenagers that are going to be out there on their own financially in the very near future, get them started early. Okay. We'd love to see them out there. But Terrence, good to have you back on the show today.
Absolutely.
Mia, thank you for joining us. You did awesome. So until 2 weeks from now, we'll be back. I'm Ryan Leopard, JJ Foster, Financial Pillar. Peace.